Hey everybody, welcome to episode 6 of the Ask Engine Show. We're excited to jump in today. It's been a fun afternoon so far. We got to go up to Bentonville, visit old Walmart country this morning. It was a good time at 1 Million Cups, and now we're here shooting this as well. So
it's pretty fun talking about e-commerce in the shadow of the world's largest retailer, isn't it? I mean, that's pretty cool to see. I mean, really one of the two places in the world where the battle of e-commerce is going to be won or lost. And so, yeah, to talk about that there in that place in a Walmart-sponsored startup building was pretty neat. So
yeah, very much so.
Awesome. Let's get rolling on our questions.
Let's do it.
NI91393 asks, I have a great startup business but can't leave my job.
Wow. Do you want the Dream Crusher version of this, or do you want, kindness?
Yeah, let's go with Dream Crusher.
Dream Crusher?
Yeah,
A little background before we get to Dream
Okay.
Crusher, and I'll tell you why. I mean, locally, I have a pretty good reputation as a Dream Crusher, and it started in 2008. I take pitch meetings all the time, and in 2008, guy pitches me, gives me just literally a terrible idea, and I stopped him in mid-sentence about 3 minutes into an hour-long meal. I mean, don't you have an hour for lunch or whatever? And 3 minutes in, I looked at him and said, with a French dip in my mouth, I looked at him and said, that is literally the worst idea I've ever heard. And it took him aback because this guy is kind of a local legend. He had built about a 500-person agency, and we were referred by a very close friend who's also a pretty prominent member of the financial community around here. And I told him this. And what's interesting about that is we became business partners. He left his, honestly, a terrible idea, and he'll tell you that to this day. And we built Acumen Brands together. Ended up raising $100 million. Terry Turbin was his name, and we got to be friends because, as he said, my brutal honesty. So, brutal honesty.
Yeah.
Okay, let's start there. You can't quit your job. It's not great business then. If you're worried about losing $160,000 of your salary, what is the real potential for this business? Okay, it's eBay arbitrage. That's been done. I mean, that's been done to death, right? I mean, I don't know. That just doesn't seem like a quote unquote great business to me. And I wouldn't leave $160,000 of your job to pursue that either. To be honest with you, I mean, it could be a long-term opportunity. I doubt it. It's probably more like a short-term arbitrage opportunity. Arbitrage, by definition, becomes more and more challenging as the market trends towards perfection. And I'm frankly a little bit surprised that here we are with eBay and it's not trended towards perfection. Someone else is going to find that arbitrage and likely knock you out. So don't quit your job. But here's what you can do. You're making $5,000 a month on this. How about hiring somebody? I mean, if you're making $5,000, that's $60,000 a year. You can hire 4 or 5 or 6 college interns to try and scale this thing. If it is a great business, you'll know pretty quickly. Spend some time onboarding them, get them to do the menial tasks of this arbitrage business. If it takes off, great, quit your job. If you're making $300,000 from this thing and $160,000, all of a sudden quitting that job seems to make a little more sense. So my advice is not to crush a dream, but prove it's a great business. And then if it is a great business, please quit your job. Why not? But is that fair?
I think that's real fair.
Okay.
Sure. I mean, that's it. I mean, it comes down to a binary decision. I think that when you're an entrepreneur, and you can speak to this much more heavily than I can, but I don't consider myself to be I feel like I have entrepreneurial tendencies, and I feel one day that I can push towards that. But if you're not wholeheartedly just pot set committed to going and doing it, the fact that you're asking this question tells me that you're not in a place where you want to stop your job and then move into this arbitrage.
Right.
And so, like you said, test the waters, validate it.
Sure. Well, it goes back to this honesty thing. I think that is a pillar of conversations in this intellectual honesty. So I left this run as CEO, built a great company in 5 years, sold the majority of it, and I said, I'm going to give back to the community. So all of 2015, was it 2015 when we started? Yeah. I said, I'm going to take coffee with any entrepreneur that reaches out to me, and I'm going to be brutally honest with every one of them. And if they told me it was a bad idea, I would tell them, because I didn't want to waste years of their life proving to themselves it was a bad idea. I called a spade, and was I wrong? Maybe occasionally, but I would bet you the pattern recognition to doing this. With 300 entrepreneurs, we ended up funding 5 of those, 6 of those.
Yeah.
So a pretty low hit rate, but we tried, all of us as a group, to give a piece of advice that they could take back and actually learn something from. And and move forward. Be it, don't do this, or, ooh, do that with a little bit of a tweak, and this might be good, to, ooh, can I write you a check? And so there you go.
Yeah, I think that's really fair. I think that if this was not an arbitrage opportunity,
Right.
and if he had a side business that was making $5,000 a month off of something that was actually had a sustainable business
Right.
model,
Yeah.
the conversation's totally different.
Oh, I'd
Because
probably
then you
look at it and
say,
say, why don't you quit
Right,
your $160,000 a year job?
Yeah.
That seems like a waste of your talent. If you've built this in your $5,000 a month in your spare time, wow. Put 40 hours a week to this, 80 hours a week. What does it do? I bet it blows up in a good way.
Yeah.
So it wasn't arbitrage. I'd probably agree with you.
Right.
Yeah.
Effie Brees asks, for small businesses, what marketing services do they need most? So I know what my answer is, and it's
Oh, we're going to crush more dreams? Let's crush more dreams.
It's website design and the appearance of their site. Because how many times have you seen a great-looking small business website? Few and far between. So I think having that eye and bringing that in an outside look at web design for a small business. So a plumber's website, it's not usually not going to look good, but if it was high converting, high performant, could really up their business.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, that is the UI UX of a website. How to teach someone to do A/B testing on an existing business that has existing revenue, funnel optimization. That is a pretty good need. Now, I'll back up and put the Dream Crusher hat on for just 1 second. If you're asking what businesses need, my question back to you is, what have you done? Have you actually done something fantastic and awesome? And if you have, go do that. If you haven't done something fantastic and awesome, you probably shouldn't be a consultant. If you're really good at doing X, go do X as a consultant. If you see a need for doing Y and you're not good at doing Y, figure out how to do Y first before you go in and say. So it's one of the two, and most likely any consultant that pitches us, we ask them. I mean, you came to us kind of as a consultant in a growth marketing field, not as because you were pitching me for a job, but you came in as a, hey, I'm doing this, and we're so impressed, so overwhelmed. We said, come work with us, come do this with us, and that's a pretty good outcome for both of us, I hope.
Yeah.
But would you agree with that? I mean, is there a
100%.
hole that you see? I mean, don't be mean like me, right?
So I mean, this is literally how I learned marketing. Is I wanted to do marketing. I felt like I was savvy. I was a young, inexperienced, had absolutely no resume, and so I said, look, I'm gonna be the best at what this is, but I'm gonna do it for free. And I did it for free, and we raised $700,000 in 30 days. I did it for free again. We raised $400,000 in 30 days. I did it again and got put into a book with Kevin Harrington. I mean, like, I did so much work for free to build credibility to then go in and charge someone. So
Right.
I think that if you're, like you said, it's really two pathways. If you're great at something, charge for it. If you're learning, do it for free, whether you're an employee or whether you can convince someone to let you play with their money. But be upfront about it, and then own it and do the best you can, and then move on to the next job and continue to crush it and ask for more money.
Yeah, that's really good. Yeah, that's good. What's next?
Leaf Ashley 27 is looking for a unique way of inviting some C-level folks to a meeting.
That's really good. I'm a little removed. We were talking this offline. Tell me what.
Yeah. So the first thing that you got to realize is so many people. The most important thing to you is your time. You know, because any minute that you're not focusing on business, you're focusing on family. Any minute that doesn't revolve around one of those two things is time you're taking away from one of those pieces of your life. And so what I said, you know, when we were chatting about this was, you've got to realize that it's got to be worth their time, number one. But before you pitch them, before you reach out to them, you've got to do your due diligence and understand, how is this conference going to provide value to the C-level executive or the VIP, whoever that person is. Is it going to benefit them? Because if it's purely in your benefit, well, then you got to pay them.
Yeah.
Or you got to call in a favor. You've got to do something to where they then feel obligated to come. Now, if it is something that is going to benefit them, it's something that they want to do, the next part about it is, if you want to do something unique, be unique. You know, think about ways that you can attract them. John loves golf. If I was trying to reach John, I'm terrible at golf, but if I was trying to reach John, I would send him literally a bucket of balls in the mail with a voucher for the best golf course that I could find in Fayetteville, Arkansas, and say, hey, I'd love for you to hit balls and me talk to you while I attempt to hit balls. That's at least...
They'd probably work. I would do that. I mean...
You've got a chance.
Yeah.
You know, it's a chance over sending a LinkedIn invite that I can tell you he gets 100 a day.
Well, it's give before you take. I mean, C-level executives take meetings for a couple reasons. Kindness of their heart, yes, and that's the main reason I take a lot of them. But I don't do that as much anymore. I do it what appears to be out of the kindness of my heart, but I really actually am intrigued by the person or the idea. And when that happens, I'll take a meeting. I don't care how busy I'm in. I don't care if it's outside of my realm of influence. I love it. And so that's a give before you take. You're being very interesting and very engaging and someone I want to meet. That is a give. Boulder, Colorado, outside of Silicon Valley, one of the top 2 or 3 startup ecosystems in the world. And Boulder was built around a couple key points. The first one was give before you take. The other is if you hit it big, give back into the community, and those resonate with me. One thing I did, and I've read this and I tried it, was send something that stands out, like direct mail. So you're going to send a direct mail postcard and try and get a customer to open it? No, that's not going to work. A C-level executive, send them something at FedEx that requires a signature. Now, God, this has got to be important. You'll at least get it in front of them, and that's impersonal, and that's a great direct mail, highly scalable if you have money, way to do it. But there's a C-level Fortune 500 retail CEO that I had the pleasure of spending some time with, and we played a round of golf together, and I have this really weird wedge in my bag. It's a 64-degree wedge that is really, really, really hard to hit. There's 1 or 2 guys on the PGA Tour that hit it, and I happen to be able to play around with this thing. And so he just marveled at it. I mean, it was really the only thing that I think I said all day that impressed him. I was otherwise pretty boring around the golf, and I sent him a wedge. I sent him the 64-degree wedge, the exact one I had, and we've gotten out of that a really good conversation starter. When I see him and I'm able to reach out to him, and it always gets a response. Hey, are you playing with that 64-degree wedge? Have you learned to hit this thing yet? Are you Bill Mickelson yet? And it's very. It's because I knew him. Because I knew one particular thing that even though he's a busy Fortune 500 CEO, he'll respond to that. That's pretty cool. You're exactly right.
Bill the Thrill 17 asks, are Facebook and Instagram really important in developing sales?
Yeah, you can make sales through social media
Oh,
for
yeah.
sure.
I'm gonna make a Dream Crusher hat.
Are you going to do it?
Yeah.
Right here.
And we pick it up and put it on as we do it. But no, you can absolutely make sales on certain products through social media, even Instagram, even probably Snapchat.
Yeah.
The startups need one channel. They need one sales channel. They don't need to go figure out. If you think it's hard to do Instagram, that's fine. Ignore it for your business. But it doesn't mean it's a bad channel. John, tell us how to do it.
So this question kind of pisses me off a little bit. Simply because you're poo-pooing on something that the average American spends a minimum of 50 minutes a day on. Right. The audacity that someone has to think that they don't have to be relevant on the most relevant channel in our society, it kind of baffles me. So taking all of that and kind of putting it into a constructive conversation, yes, you have to be on social media, because ultimately, if you're not on social media, number one, you lose trust. So we're talking about trust badges, a few episodes back. I'll actually link that in the description below, auditing a website. But if I go and you're selling me a $100 watch, if you're selling me anything over impulse purchase price point and you don't have social media, you're dead to me. I'm not buying from you because I don't know who you are. So number one, it's an introduction. Number two, it's a way for you to communicate with me without asking me to buy your stuff. If you just come up and I think of social media as the modern way that we talk to each other. How often do you purchase something from someone who just runs up to you at the gas station and says, hey, buy this? You're going to think that's weird. Get away from me. It's this exact same thing offline as it is online. So you have to build a relationship. You do that through great quality content. You do that through actually creating context and creating depth through your social media. And then you sell a boatload of whatever you're selling. Ultimately, if you want to build a business on paid media, you better always be able to pay the paid media price. And we were talking about on the ride up to Bentonville. Yeah. What happens when you're getting a cost per acquisition of $5? What happens when a platform or your sales channel ups that to $6? Does it kill your business?
Out? Yeah, if you're priced out, you're out of business. And, you look at some of the differences in channels. I mean, everyone would say, yes, Google is an incredible sales vehicle. And I get it. Social media, sometimes doesn't appear that way. It's not as obvious, at least. Someone searches for keyword X, you put product about keyword X in front of them, they push the buy button, it's very linear. You're harvesting demand, and harvesting demand is very expensive. So it used to not be that way. I mean, a lot of good businesses were built in the early days of e-commerce through Google in 01, 02, 03, and I did that as well. I mean, you could sold barbecue grills online, you could buy the word grill for a penny, a nickel, 10 cents, even after we'd been doing it a while. Super cheap, hard not to make money on that. And then when social media came along, everyone said, well, let's do the same thing. Let's go linear. We're going to put a product in your feed and say buy with an exclamation point. And we're going to, because the harvest demand strategy is very linear. Make fun of me. Buy now. If you put an impediment in that process, conversion rates go down. So the funnel has to be very slick and very easy off the harvest demand Google side. On social media, it's different. It's about the relationship. It's a little bit different challenge. So we came in 09, 010, just like everyone else did in e-commerce, and tried to figure out how to drive revenue. We tried the same thing. We put product in the feed, buy now, very linear. It didn't work. And right around that time, we started to see some inklings of success. We had One Kings Lane doing a little bit. Zulily started to do a little bit. Fab, bless their hearts. I mean, they blew up in a good way at first and in a terrible way at the end. But they did some pretty novel things on how to pull people off social media. And we were probably one of the first 4 or 5 companies in the world that figured out how to do e-commerce off of social media. And it wasn't a linear process. So we sold cowboy boots. We targeted 18 million lovers of country music and horses and hunting and fishing and demographic level targeting. There were 135,000 searches a month for cowboy boots, linear process. 18 million of these people that would be consumers of cowboy boots, potentially demographically. It didn't work to go linear. So what we did is build a relationship, and we did it through content. We did it through interesting giveaways, which, by the way, don't work quite as well on Facebook, but they used to go super viral. Built up 8 million Facebook fans, built up 11 million email subscribers, built a $100 million revenue business through that channel. And it's because it wasn't obvious. And the fact that it wasn't obvious made it an opportunity. And if it's obvious and easy to do, everyone's going to do it, and you're going to be arbitraged out of your arbitrage opportunity is going to go away. And so here's this new platform called social media. Absolutely, you can make sales off of it. It's been done over and over and over again. It's just not as obvious on how to do it sometimes.
Yep. Yeah. Is that it?
I think that's it.
Yeah, that's
That was fun.
Awesome, guys. So episode 6, we are going to implement a question of the day. So it's going to be a question that we ask, sometimes just getting feedback from y'all, other times just making it fun. So for the first one that I want to do for fun is I don't even know how many copies of Gary Vee's new book. I don't remember exactly how many copies I bought. I know.
You're one of those guys.
I am one of those guys.
Oh, wow.
I am. Sorry.
Maybe I'll get one and learn to love it. Who knows?
So, doubtful.
Okay.
Anyways, so the first 3 people that comment on this post for the question of the day, I literally just want, you can just say, hi, I'm going to find out what your address is, I'm going to send you a book. So we'll
what
do
if
that
I
for
comment?
the fun.
Will I count, or do you have an extra one for me? Will that
throw it
you'll
at
delete
you.
it and I'll get it. Okay, fair enough.
Very
Okay.
good.
First
Guys,
3 people, let's do it.
First 3 people.
Great.
So thank you very much. We'll see you